everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith and we are in the finale for Masters of the Night as we move into stage number 3 of the event cards, knowing that there's only 5 more cards in that event deck and we've got a lot of work to do for our 2 vampires to get the kills they need in order to begin this Blood Moon ritual. We're going to start exactly where we left off in the last video, part number 2, and at the tail end of that video we went ahead and put Imre as the starting player. We'll be starting with him. If you haven't checked out the solo setup as well as part 1 or part 2, you're going to want to check those out so you understand how we got to where we currently are. Without further ado, let's start things off with the daytime effects. I'm going to go ahead and choose to resolve the railway station first. The railway station has an agent there, so as we know, it's going to hit our highest die in the die reserve pool, and we have 2 at 3 right now, so one of those is going to become a 1 because that's the lowest it can go down to, unfortunately. So now we have a 3, a 1, and a 1. Not looking too good, but remember, we know those low values could be converted for something not so bad and something a little more useful at City Park. Next up, the Asylum I'm going to choose to activate for its day effect, and what's going to happen is if there's more agents than minions in this district, move 1 minion from any district to the Asylum. We only have 1 minion in play, and that minion is currently with Mila at the nightclub, so that minion is now going to be moved to the Asylum. Now I'm going to go ahead and resolve the very first event card we've seen at stage 3. I can tell you right now, not really looking forward to this. It's probably going to hurt. So the very first event out of stage number 3 for the event deck is Many a Day, and we have a red X that sits on the nightclub. We have no agent to put into play for this, so we're going to take 1 hit on the Veil Tracker. We're currently at 4, and that's going to hit us after this card's resolved, so we have at least 1 hit. Next up, we have the 2 blue X's at the police department at the top and City Hall down below. We can choose which one we want the agent to go to, but we don't have one, as I've already mentioned, so that's a 2nd hit to the Veil Tracker after we resolve this card. Down at the very bottom of the card, we have Many a Day. It says, place this card near the dice pool. This is guaranteed not to be good. At the end of each night phase, decrease the value of all dice in the pool by 1. That's really bad. Really bad for me right now. So that card's going to sit by the dice pool. Currently we have a 3, a 1, and a 1. The 2 1s that I have in there can't go any lower, but that 3 certainly can over time. And now that we've gone ahead and resolved the event card, we'll go ahead and knock our tracker 2 spots down. Getting closer to vampires hunted and taken down. Really want to try to avoid that right now. Now, as I've talked about in the past, this is the time where during the day phase, the agents that have 3 or more in a particular district would attack a vampire if there was one that wasn't drained in its district. So currently that doesn't apply, but we do definitely have 2 districts that have 3 agents inside of them and 1 that's very close to 3 as well. But again, we have no more agents to put on the board, so we really need to focus on killing off as many agents here as we possibly can during this upcoming turn. I can tell you right now, Mila's not going to be all that useful in that regard, but I know Imre is going to be able to do something. So Imre here is going to make an attack on this individual, but what I know is going to happen based on the fact that I cannot use relics. I can't use relics because there ironically is an agent at the cathedral right now, which means I can't use my very cool ancient blade to bump up my dice stats, which wouldn't actually have changed anything because the highest one I could potentially use in the night phase right now is a 3. Bumping it to a 4 wouldn't change the outcome. I still would take 1 blood hit for Imre after this attack. So I would actually kill the agent, but then Imre would lose his 2nd action as well as become drained. So I might as well do something to keep him up and up. So I could do one other thing before I go ahead and attack. And in order to keep Imre kind of alive and well and, you know, useful, I might as well go ahead and just do a regular hunt in order to get an extra blood token for him so he's not at the edge of death after he makes this attack. So now we're going to go ahead, make that attack using the 3 now. So now we really only have 2 1s, which also makes that Many a Day card sitting in there next to the dice pool not as useful to hurt us. But regardless, we've gone ahead and we've killed off this agent, thankfully. So that's going to have us boosting up our kill count. So Imre is going to move from 4 to 5, meaning he can now hold an additional relic. So where my mind is at with Mila in terms of her action is you'll notice I have 2 dice that are very weak. I actually can't kill any agents. I would just be taking damage, which I don't want to do at this particular point. What I would like to do is I'd like to try to get that Veil Tracker up another step because you know know already that I'm very, very close to the end of this. I don't want to lose right away. So what I'm going to do is have Mila move 1 into the radio station. Of course, I could have gone to museum or railway station and done something else with my other actions, but I'm going to do this, and then during the night, I'm going to spend my other AP to raise this Veil Tracker up by 1. Now, again, this is not going to stop us from running into the situation and problem that we have a number of agents that are going to be put into play because we're in the second half of this card. That is going to cause us problems that I can't even get around. If you take a look up here at the railway station, if I was to head there, like I said, and try to attack, don't have the dice for it, can't do anything at the museum, so the only place that made any sense to go to is the radio station. In terms of her own actions, I could move, I could expose an agent, I could fight an agent, I could recruit a minion for 2. Now, when I recruit a minion for 2, I gain one of these back, just like I did right here. So that's a benefit, but I'd actually be stuck right here with that minion beside me. So it doesn't end up changing too much, and I'd actually rather have her in the center so she can eventually work her way up to one of these larger areas full of agents to try to take them all down. But I'm starting to see a pattern that's going to get me into a problem where I don't think I may not even get to that situation if things keep going the way they're going. Especially because you can see up here the Veil Tracker is likely going to be sitting in this section for the next turn, which means we're going to be putting more agents into play, and we're going to be putting other event cards into play that are going to likely throw wrenches into my plans. So there's a handful of cards on the board that trigger at the end of the night phase, which it currently is right now. This Absolution card says at the end of each night phase, if there are more minions than agents in the cathedral, discard the card and increase the Veil Tracker by 1. Otherwise, choose any vampire with at least 1 kill and decrease it by 1. So this is going to hit us as a bad thing again because I don't have a minion in play, something that I probably need to do right away to not only prevent us from losing our abilities, but also to the chance of us losing the kills that we continue to try and gain. So this really is kind of a 1 step forward, 1 step back type situation. It's pretty tough. So I think it makes sense to actually tick down Mila's kill count because she currently already recently actually used Wild Hunt. So she's got a whole bunch of blood tokens to spend, so I'll knock this down to 3. Alright, so we got Risky Treatment. We know at the end of each night phase, discard 1 minion from the Asylum. Then if there are more minions than agents in the Asylum, discard this card and increase the Veil Tracker by 1. That still hasn't happened, but the minion that got moved here is going to be killed off. So we've lost another minion off the board. So time to begin the next day. I'm a little scared because I'm on the second half of the Veil Tracker right now, but this first player marker is going over to Mila. One thing to make note of is now I have the availability to use her Temptation as well as her Crystal Ball and all that good stuff, and could have technically used it even in the prior round, but I'm waiting to hopefully use it during this round. Again, this is all going to hinge on how the event card and everything else pans out as to how much pain we take on the Veil Tracker. But she is going to be starting us off for this round, so let's deal with our day effects next. At this point, the railway station isn't going to hurt us anymore because our dice are already down to 1 each. They can't go any lower than that. The Asylum's also not going to trigger because we have no minions in play for it to pull to that location. So that actually is going to resolve all the day effects available. And thankfully, the cathedral is now cleared up, so we can, as I mentioned, use our special effects as well as our relics. All right, this is going to be where things get a little rocky. We're going to be grabbing the next stage 3 card. Okay, this is looking quite interesting. So the very first one is going to be at the Asylum, which is not good because that is an available agent that we have to put on the board. Remember, we had Imre kill off an agent, so we do have 1 agent ready to go out, and that red X is saying it's going to go at the Asylum. Now, if the actual agent goes there, the good news is we won't have any hit to our Veil Tracker because there's no minions there and there's no undrained vampires there, so that's good. The question becomes, do I want it to go there with Mila heading in that direction? That was her goal, was to get in there and start taking out some of those individuals. So the question becomes, with her Crystal Ball that she has, do I want to use this right now to change anything? So once per turn, when you resolve an event card, you may spend 1 blood to choose a district instead of a red X or a blue X district shown on the card. So after some thought, I am going to go ahead and use Myla's crystal ball right now. It's going to cost her 1 blood token to use this, and I'm able to put the agent in any district I want for a red or blue X. So I'm doing it for the red X because a red would land in the asylum, and I don't want that many individuals sitting there when I head in there, because I want Myla to be able to go in there and convert the one that's exposed into a minion, and then I don't have to worry about the fact that there will be 3 of them in there, which would trigger a daytime attack against me. So I'm going to go ahead and put this agent at the nightclub for now. That's where I'm going to leave him because he's not going to do any harm to me there, and he's within reach of me attacking. Of course, what I could do, being that I'm probably never going to get this railway station back, I could put it up here as well, but it could be handy to get that at some point in time to stop messing around with our dice if we even have the time to do this. We are running out of time, definitely. So you can kind of see I might be just bleeding out here for the rest of the video, but I'd love to continue to show you how this is going to unravel on me. So as you can see here, I've gone ahead and we've dealt with the red X. Now for that particular event card, we're going to deal with the blue X. So at this point now, we are at the top right hand section here of this veil tracker. So you can see one of the X's has to have 2 agents put on it, but I don't have agents to put at the museum or at City Hall, which are the 2 spots on this card that it gives me for blue X's. So that's going to be 2 hits on this veil tracker once we finish the card. So let's find out what the rest of the card says. It may not even let me go any further seeing how this is going. It says, place this card near the token reserve. At the end of each night phase, each vampire in a non-sigil district loses 1 blood. So basically, we're draining anywhere we don't currently have one of these. And because we haven't even gotten to that stage yet, this is going to really hurt us. So this card is going to sit up here and trigger and also be draining us, which is certainly going to hurt us later on. So you can see all these cards coming in late game are ones that have in-game effects that stick around. We didn't have many of those, if any at all, in the first stage. So things were not that aggressive, but things are really piling up here in stage 3. So the Veil Tracker is going to be knocked down 2 positions to the lowest position it has ever been, which is 1 away from us being hunted down and killed. So we're kicking things off with Myla for this turn, and she wants to be productive. She's going to spend her first action point to increase the Veil Tracker up by 1 to give us a little bit of a chance. We got to get this thing up to 3 for me to even feel slightly comfortable. At 2, I'm very, very scared. Second action is going to be for her to move from the radio station into the asylum, which is where I wanted to be for quite some time and trying to get there. And now I'm going to go ahead and use her temptation ability, because thanks to Imre, who cleared up the cathedral earlier, she can now use her special ability temptation for 2 blood tokens. Remember, this is not considered an action. This is just her using her special ability and spending her tokens to replace 1 exposed agent with a minion. So we can replace this. We don't kill it. It doesn't count for a kill for us. We just put it back in the token reserve, and we're going to go ahead and grab a minion and add it to the asylum. So we're slowly working our way towards hopefully dealing with this risky treatment situation with the asylum, and the fact it killed off all of our useful minions in play, which was not good. Something we probably should have made a bigger focus on earlier. So what's really nasty about Imre is that he could have been so productive if he didn't have this terrible dice pool available to him. Now he does have his Ancient Blade, which bumps him from 1s to 2s, but something I can use those 1s for is to try to bump up our Veil Tracker at City Park. But again, spending 2 actions to get there gets him there, but that's the end of his turn, which again is going to delay time, and we need all the time we can get to kill agents. That's really the focus right now, is get our kill counts up, but we're having a tough time doing that at this particular point based on how we've played. Another really cool area is City Hall here. It says in the nighttime we can spend 2 action points to add a minion from the reserve to any district and increase the Veil Tracker. So that would have been a really cool spot as well to go to help to deal with the asylum pileup of agents and get some more minions in there so we can outnumber them, getting rid of risky treatment and also stopping that pull of all our minions to the asylum, and then start using it to our advantage to pull agents back to the asylum. to be slaughtered off. So that is a huge control point that interacts with City Hall that's very important strategically. Now the next thing I'm going to do with Imre is he's going to use one of his blood tokens that's on his sheet to do Mastermind, and what that allows him to do is expose one agent in any district. So he's going to go ahead and expose this agent so that hopefully in the future, if Imre, he will be the first player next turn, can use the 2 dice that are really poor, and then maybe Mila will be able to actually use some actions to take these ones out with better dice available to her. We can cross our fingers and hope, and hopefully get that whole situation at Asylum dealt with. But again, time is running out. So risky treatment is now going to trigger at the end of the night phase. We're going to lose the minion that we have at the Asylum. Imre is going to lose a kill thanks to the fact we have Absolution triggering at the Cathedral. And again, it does because we don't have any minions there. Mila is going to lose her last blood token thanks to Pour Blood, which is the card or event card we put up near the tokens, making her now a drained vampire. And sadly, the exact same thing is going to happen to Imre. It's been a very rough go for the family. You'll see both of the tokens have been flipped over. The first player marker is going to move over to Imre, and I honestly think we have sealed our fate now with both of our vampires being drained, as when they come back during this upcoming round to have their actions, when they come back, the Veil Tracker is then hit for each of them coming back and getting a blood token, which means it's going to put us into vampires being hunted and taken down. But we're going to play through this procedurally because the event deck would currently happen first before our characters would start. So we'll see what the event deck has for us. Pretty much guaranteed this isn't going to be good. So we got a card called Outlawed, and this one has a red X at City Park, which ironically has a drained vampire Imre there. So when we place an agent, which we do have, we have one because we took one out. Again, we actually swapped it out for a minion, but we had it available in our reserve. We will go ahead and place that in there, but because there's a drained vampire, it doesn't actually hit the Veil Tracker, which is a nice plus. So I'm going to go ahead and put that agent in City Park. We now have 2 in there. We also have 2 blue X's, and again, we're on the second half of the Veil Tracker, so we were supposed to put 2 agents into the blue X, one of them. Sadly, we don't have those, and that by itself is going to push us into a very sad ending. So let's go ahead and read the rest of this as well. So let's place this card on any vampire sheet whenever this vampire uses their dark ability in the non-sigillated district, if I'm saying that correctly. Additionally, decrease the Veil Tracker by 1. So this is just all going bad. Not only are we losing and we're drained, we've now just been flat out outlawed out of the place. So we're going to go ahead and choose a vampire to put this on. Sorry, Imre, you have been outlawed. And it appears that our story has come to an end. This particular vampire family was not enough and not strong enough to be able to handle the agents that overwhelm them in the city, and the veil has slipped away, and it's down to vampires hunted down and destroyed. We count this one as a loss on the medium difficulty for Masters of the Night. So you can see, even on the medium difficulty, and there is easy and hard, the medium is quite a challenge. I think within the last few rounds, even just before we went into this video, I was already starting to feel the crunch that this was going to be near impossible. And I probably would have had to have things set up in a way that was very advantageous for it to work out. So you can tell the difficulty here, the strategy really comes in that second stage, but it is really important in that first stage to get yourself established and also to get as many kills as easily and as quickly as possible, because as the agents start to mount up and as these ongoing effects in the game start to come out, you have to manage a lot of different things besides just a couple agents every now and then. And that really ramps up your decisions, and it also slightly distracts you from the main goals of winning the game. It's one of the things I found really interesting about the game is the fact there's so much going on mitigation-wise when you get to that second and third stage that you still need to remember to focus on why and what you're trying to accomplish without going off the rails on your strategies. So either way, hopefully this helps you make an informed decision on the game when it hits Kickstarter. When this particular video releases, the game will already be on Kickstarter. This will be the only video that releases after the Kickstarter has launched. But again, I really hope this helps you make an informed decision. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.